Hawksbee and Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Well, Everton go to Norwich tonight off the back of a derby that they could have nicked at the weekend. We're very unlucky not to. It's a bit of a smash and grab. Joining us now to talk about that and other matters besides, Mr. Parry. Good afternoon, Mike.
Good afternoon, fellas, and you're absolutely right. It's a very, very cherished memory of the last time we won the league championship in 1987, May the 4th. It was a bank holiday Monday. Everton went there. And did you know, fellas, that 6 weeks earlier we'd been 9 points behind Liverpool in the title? Because in those mid-80s, the league championship, as it was then, never left the city of Liverpool for 6 years. Either Liverpool were winning it or we were winning it. You know, it was going to and fro. And we won it in 85, and then that was that great season when we lost the cup final, unfortunately. Liverpool won the double in 86. We came second in both, and we won it again in 87. So it was a glorious era, not just for Everton, but for Merseyside football. And we couldn't believe how well we'd done in 87 because we had a shocking catalogue of injuries. And once again, Howard Kendall, showed his mettle as a manager by bringing in players who other people had written off, like Paul Power and Wayne Clark, who contributed massively to grabbing our title.
Yeah, 87. That's right. At Carrow Road, the last time you did it. So on to Carlo Ancelotti in the clear out. Morgan Schneidling, he's on his way. He cost about 18. He's going for 2, but other players have been mentioned, including Leighton Baines. I mean, talk about the kind of great servant of the club. I mean, you couldn't get a much better one, but he could be off. Nias Tossen could be off, and Sigurdsson as well. Gylfi Sigurdsson, problem with Gylfi is the problem is he carries a badge of being a man who causes a problem because he played, as you know, for Cardiff, and we hung on to try and get him. Was it Cardiff or Swansea? Swansea, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, yeah. And we held on until eventually Everton were forced to pay £50 million for Gylfi Sigurdsson, okay. And he's not a player worth more than £20 million at the best of it. And that was when Everton were at the start of their high spending, we've come back, we're a big club, era when we thought we could do it overnight. And the now Dutch national manager, most famous man in Holland, and Barcelona hero, was our manager. And the point was, he was so arrogant in the way that he looked at players and said, we'll take them. And it was a failed signing. So I've got no problems about him going. Leighton Baines, one of the greatest Evertonians of my lifetime, simply a terrific guy who blue blood runs through his veins. Not literally, of course, because he wouldn't be standing if it was. But you know exactly what I mean. That guy gave everything.
Yeah, of course.
Now,
Andy,
earlier in the piece when we were speaking to you during the full lockdown, you were campaigning like mad for pubs to reopen.
That's right.
And I see your followers are very delighted that your campaign has worked. One of them has said you should be knighted. He says knighthood on the cards.
Blimey.
Yeah.
Well, look, I'm not one for blowing my own trumpet, fellas, as you know. But
of course not, no.
But I have to say that this is one of the most pleasing campaigns that I've ever come across. I've campaigned for the life preservation of ducks. I've campaigned for Alan Brazil to keep going on and on and on. Yeah. And I've campaigned for all sorts of things in life. But this is one of the most pleasing ones. And look, jokes aside for a moment, the opening the pubs again is a major part of the way we can revive the economy. But not only that, pubs in this country, as I've told you before, they're a major cultural part of why we are British, why we in the United Kingdom have those pubs. And I'm delighted. And actually, fellas, I've cheated a bit because I went to a pub on Monday this week, only about a mile from where you guys are sitting at the moment, okay? Mm-hmm. So I heard of a pub that was open in the sort of London Bridge area, round about, Borough Market and all that. And if you go down there and you walk in one door and you pick up a pint of lager and lime in a plastic glass, from a bar person who's got gloves on, and you go out the other door, and then you're allowed to sit in a little shaded area under a blossom tree. Literally, honestly, it was fantastic. Sat in a chair that was actually fastened to the floor, so you couldn't move it. It was 2 meters away from the next chair. Okay.
Wow.
Sat there under this blossom tree, had a couple of pints of lager and lime. And in all my years of visiting pubs in this country, which now probably are about 50, because I started quite young, it was one of the most delightful afternoons I've ever had, because I hadn't been in a pub for 12 weeks. And there were a couple of other people who came through, and then it started getting a bit full. So then I left and decided to get home. But I'm not joking, fellas. The revival of the pubs is something which we're all going to enormously enjoy.
Can you remember your first pint, Mike? It would have been. You would have been younger than 18, or almost.
Yeah, I was. I can actually. I was 14, and honestly, and I was working in a supermarket in Brook Street in Chester, and my job was to take those metal cages off the lorries that arrive with all supplies, take them into the storeroom, then unload, 28 cans of Bonio dog food and Daz and Purcell and all that kind of stuff. And there was an older guy working there called Peter Kennedy, who was 17, and you got an hour for your lunch break, and we used to walk down Brook Street and go to a cafe. On this particular day, he said, come on, it's Friday, we'll go in here. And it was a pub called the Bowling Green in Brook Street, Chester. I'd never been in a pub before in my life. Never. I'd sat in a few pubs in the car with a bag of crisps and a can of Coke while my dad had gone in the pub, not that my dad was unkind, but occasionally after a school football match, he and a friend would go and have a drink on the way home or something, And I'd never been in a pub in my life, and I was shocked and astonished. And I was 14, and Peter said, sit over there in the corner, and he went and got me a pint of lager and lime, and I was incapable of work for the rest of the afternoon, honestly.
It was the lime. That's what did
I think the lime took him over the edge. That's what it was. Mike. I think we always remember it. Mine was the Cricketers in Enfield, pint of McMullen's, 22 pence. I can even remember the price. Oh, yeah, two pints of McMullen's, please. He must have known. He must have known. Then we went and saw one for Over the Cuckoo's Nest. We felt like such adults.
That's right. No,
mine was even earlier.
Was it really? In a pub?
Pub in East Finchley, and I think it was 1 shilling and 2pence. It was really cheap for a pub.
4 groats you did for a tankard, didn't you, Andy?
Actually, fellas, the first time I got intoxicated was when I was about 11. We went to a family funeral. I went to a family funeral. I think it was my Auntie Margaret or somebody get married, and I picked up this bottle of what I thought was pop, and it was called Baby Sham, and I opened it, and I drunk it, and again I was, massively intoxicated for the rest of the day. I wish it would only take. I wish it would only take a bottle of Baby Sham these days to make me feel like that.
It was the first recorded time that you ever said to anybody, "I put it to you that this will be something rather than your first."
It was that bottle of Baby Sham, and suddenly there was wing mirrors on horses. Now, our mutual chum Claire Tomlinson from Sky is very nervous about you returning to the pub, Mike, because she feels she wants you outside because we know you have underlying health issues, and so you shouldn't be up there at the bar waving a tenner with loads of people. You've got to be sensible.
I don't think anybody will be up at the bar waving a tenner. I think they're going to do it properly, and I'm fully supportive of that, You do sit in tables far apart. I was actually invited to a lock-in locally down here in Stockbroker Belt, Surrey, okay? And there was nothing illegal about it, but it was a local landlady picking 10 of her favourite customers and when I asked her who else was going, I turned it down, not on the basis that I felt worried, but the other 9 were so boring that I would have I would have ended up, sort of not enjoying the afternoon. But very seriously for a minute, fellas, I'm not being selfish about this pub thing, and the point you just made about my particular position is a very serious one, right?
Sure, yeah.
Everybody knows I've got an underlying health problem with my heart, which is a really dicky heart. Okay, I live with that, it's not a problem. I've got diabetes too, I'm overweight, and I'm in my 60s. So I am actually, and I mean this leading from the front, there is an increased risk of me picking up the virus if I don't behave myself. But when I went to that pub on Monday, I travelled in from Stockbroker Belt, Surrey, with cellophane gloves, with a mask on, I had a bottle of gel in my hand all the time, rubbing it even on the gloves and all that kind of stuff. I was distant from people. I had my own railway carriage because nobody's travelling at mid-morning and all that kind of stuff. You've got to be very, very, very careful. And I've been very careful, but I do believe that there's never going to be a moment to say it's totally safe to go back into a pub. You've got to use your common sense and just take your own chances.
Indeed, Mike. Look, good to talk to you as always. Stay safe. Look after yourself.
Guys.
There we are, Mike Parry there.